Max Verstappen is a very controversial character. While he is one of the most prolific and acclaimed F1 drivers of the past 20 years, up there with the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, and Michael Schumacher, and he is well known for his driving, but he is also well known, and less so nowadays, but more in his early career. He was well known for being difficult to work with and really just not a great person. And I think he had kind of moved away from that, I guess, description, you could say. And a lot of people were starting to like him a good bit more, even though he was still very intense. And there will always, every once in a while, there would be a few just questionable calls that would go his way, or that maybe he did something that isn't really in good spirit or, I guess, good sportsmanship. Like, last year there was, like, an accident, I think, that it was him and Lewis Hamilton, and he was the one that ended up going into the wall. And he was at fault, I think, but he also, but he acted like it was some big, conspiracy or something, I guess. I'm not really sure. Anyways, he's kind of had a history of being difficult to work with. And, again, he had kind of moved away from that, but now, after the Brazilian Grand Prix, there are a lot of people asking really what sort of person he is, and people are really starting to question him again. And this is due to an altercation that occurred between him and his teammate, Sergio Perez, and they were battling for 6th and 7th place, I think, and Red Bull instructed Max to pull over and let Sergio Perez go ahead and get the 6th place so he could get the points to get 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship.
Exit at 12, can we let Checo through, please? Let Checo back through. Yeah, don't worry about the DRS, Max. Let Checo through. Let Checo through. Max, let Checo through, please. Max, what happened?
I told you already last time. You guys don't ask that again to me. Okay? Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons, and I stand by it.
But instead, Max decided to stay in 6th place and not do the good teammate / I guess kind of good sportsmanship thing and pull over and let his teammate get a little bit of glory. And he kept pushing ahead. And after this, there was all sorts of stuff on social media about him, and his mom even were posting stuff and just absolutely ripping into Perez and Red Bull and saying all types of stuff. And it's kind of showing a different side of Max Verstappen that we haven't really seen in the past few years. And it's showing that Red Bull is starting to fall apart a little bit, I think. And I think they're still going to keep Max on because he's too solid of a driver and he's won too much for them to not keep him around. But I think they're going to get rid of Sergio Perez, or rather, Sergio Perez might want out after this season, or if this sort of continues to happen without a whole lot of change. And they've also brought on Daniel Ricciardo, who is a all-right driver. He's not the best. He's been in some questionable accidents, and he was on Red Bull already and left. And I think that this and the other Red Bull team politics as far as the drivers go can be traced to the management. Christian Horner is a very difficult person to work with sometimes. I feel like he's very intense, but I would say Max Verstappen is equally as intense. And I think that the way he was brought up by his father and just pushed to be the best racing driver possible affected who he is and his ego and his, I guess, attitude of push and always trying to be the absolute best or trying to get all the glory. And I think that is a good thing for a team like Red Bull and the way it is ran, but also it could be very dangerous because they haven't been able to keep a second driver for more than a few years. And I think that it could be trending in that direction of them signing yet another person to drive underneath Verstappen. And I think that his personality both breeds the championship winning, the singular focus that he has helps him win more than really anyone else. But also, I think it makes it very difficult for the teams that he's on to bring someone else in or bring a team of people in to help surround him and support him. And I think that might be his biggest downfall. And as to whether he is like the, great Max Verstappen or he's some diabolical evil genius, I guess, I think that it lies somewhere in between. And he is really intense, but also at the same time, that's every F1 driver to an extent, and that's just the nature of the sport. It's just that he takes it to another level and often doesn't know when to dial it back, I think.